Hey, Lucas. Thanks for joining us today. And to everyone who is joining us, my name is Lachlan. I'm a sales engineer at Stably. And this is a Stablecoin chat where we cover relevant news going on around the world in relation to stablecoins. Today, we'll be talking with Lucas, who is based in Argentina, and we'll be going over the recent news in Argentina, and as well as the real life applications of cryptocurrencies in that country and how it's solving real world problems. Lucas, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Hey Lachlan, how are you? Thanks for the invite. My name is Lukas Marincovich. I'm in cryptocurrencies since 2015. I used to work in some broker services here in Argentina that provides buy and sell operations for different users. So yes, we work with the main cryptocurrencies in the market. We work a lot of stablecoins because here the adoption of stablecoins is quite massive. And right now I'm working at blockchain.com. I'm working as a researcher. I provide different research about the market, new DeFi applications, new blockchains, new stablecoins. So I'm always trying to find some insights for my team and provide useful research for different type of applications or developments.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Now, I believe Argentina's inflation rate, it's changing fast, but it's about over 60% right now. And people in the US are concerned enough as is with 8.5%. So, a lot of people in Argentina are looking for alternative investments and ways to store value better. And that's often turning to the US dollar. Um, but as we saw last week with the resignation of the economy minister of Argentina, the exchange rate dipped even more, and a lot of people turned to stablecoins. Do you mind sort of just walking us through what the process is in Argentina for buying US dollars and why people would even consider going to stablecoins or cryptocurrencies?
Yes, for sure. We are seeing right now United States with an 8% annual inflation, and all the people is quite concerned about that. For this month, for July, the projected inflation for Argentina is of 8%. So in 1 month, we have the inflation rate of all the year in United States. So this is not something new in Argentina. We have this problem since I have memory. So is for a lot of years. New governments come, and the problem is always the same. It's always the high inflation and the devaluation of our local currency, the Argentinian pesos. And yes, as you said, in terms of dollars here in Argentina, we have lots of restrictions. Here in Argentina, it's called the cepo, that is a restrictions to get dollars. And we have like many different dollars. We have about 5 different exchange rates for getting dollars in Argentina. The main focus or the main dollar that is referenced for all the citizens are the informal dollar and the financial dollars. Now we will explain all the different dollars that we have. We have the official dollar, that is the cheapest one, that is in about 135 Argentinian pesos. But the citizens can go to a bank, for example, and buy the dollar, the official dollar, at that exchange rate. That's why, because the government and the central bank put a lot of restrictions to get this dollar, because people are not trusting in their local currency, in the Argentinian pesos, and they are moving all to dollar. So the way to buy dollars in Argentina is through the informal market, that has a spread between the official rate of 100%, roughly, is in 268 Argentinian pesos to get $1 in the informal market. And the other option, that is through capital markets, is the financial dollars, that through buying a financial dollar, you have to buy a bond in Argentinian pesos and sell that bond in dollars. So we have like 4 or 5 different dollars. These are some examples of the different dollars that we have and the restrictions for the citizens to get dollars. That's why Argentina has been a very, very good ecosystem for stablecoins adoption. Since 2 or 3 years ago, the first stablecoin that get massive adoption in Argentina was DAI. That is a decentralized stablecoin. So then the people start knowing a little bit about USDC and USDT, sorry. And well, all the broker services in Argentina let the users buy stablecoins with Argentinian pesos without any restriction. So the volume of this kind of stablecoins has grown a lot in the last 2 or 3 years. For example, another very good example is 10 days ago, the economy minister in Argentina has resigned. So it was on weekend that he resigned on Saturday. So on Saturday, anyone can go to the financial dollars or to the informal dollars because they can only buy them during the week. So that's why the volume of stablecoins on that weekend has grown like 3 or 4x. That was a very, very good explanation of how stablecoins can solve some citizens' problems and restrictions about dollars here in Argentina.
And I'm curious, you mentioned that the informal rate about 268, which is double the the formal rate of 135. What about when you do the bond route? What would be the rate on that for users? And what is the typical method that the average household uses to buy US dollars? Which one would be most common?
Okay, well, the financial dollars has a rate a little bit higher right now than the informal dollar because in this case, you don't have to go to the informal markets to buy it. You can buy it through your bank account and a capital market, a broker's capital market. So that's why right now it's a little bit higher. Let me check it in 1 second, is in 284 Argentinian pesos to get one financial dollar. But yes, you can send money from your bank and buy it. That's why it's a little bit higher than the informal dollar.
Wow. So basically, anyone that keeps the money in the Argentinian peso is losing 8% per month right now. But if they convert to the US dollar, they're losing 50% right away over the official exchange rate.
That's correct, yes. So Argentina has a very, very big devaluation of their local currency right now, and since the last 4 or 5 years. So yes, right now no one trusts in the Argentinian pesos. So all the brokerage services of cryptocurrencies here in Argentina has a very, very good offer of stablecoins that even buying stablecoins is easier than go to buy a bond and sell it in dollars. Most of the people don't understand how to buy a bond, then sell the bond. Buying a stablecoin is quite easy. You send Argentinian pesos, you buy the stablecoin, and then you convert it to dollars, or you withdraw those stablecoins to a wallet.
And I also read that during that surge in stablecoin volume last weekend, that buying a Tether stablecoin was actually about 240 Argentinian pesos to a dollar, which isn't quite as bad as the informal rate. But I'm surprised that they weren't getting the official exchange rate. Is this something that you've seen, or can you often get the official exchange rate through stablecoins? I'm surprised that Tether was that expensive for locals during that time.
No. It's impossible to get the official rate, even for stablecoins. You will be getting a rate quite similar to the financial dollars. Why? Because also for companies can't get dollars in Argentina. So for companies to get dollars or for broker services, for example, they have to buy a bond here in Argentina and sell them in United States. Then with those dollars, yes, go into a broker services, into a, I don't know, or Binance or OKCoin or any exchange outside Argentina, and provide stablecoins for Argentinian users. So when a user, a citizen, come to buy a stablecoin, they will have a rate very similar to the financial dollar.
Okay, so I would have thought that Argentinians would have been able to access the exchange rates of the rest of the world, which would be closer to the official exchange rate. But that's not true, is what you're saying. They still need to buy at the financial exchange rate.
That's correct. Yes, they have to buy the financial exchange rate that on the weekend of the resignation of the economy minister, it was between a range of 240 and 300 pesos, because even the broker services have to get covered, because they even don't know what will be happening on Monday when the markets are open.
So people are losing about 50% of the money, even converting just to stable coins, which seems like a lot. So this is more when they're saving for the long term, because even if they lose 50%, if they're saving their money for 5 years, it benefits them. Is that the sort of the logic of people doing that?
Yes, well, the logic is they are losing like 50% by buying dollars or stable coins or financial dollars, but if they keep Argentinian pesos, they will lose every week. I mean, before the resignation of the minister, the dollar was in 220 Argentinian pesos, and right now it's in 284, the financial dollar. So if you keep Argentinian pesos, you will continue losing money. Even if you are losing a 50% by buying dollars, it's safer to keep dollars or even stable coins in Argentina.
Wow, that's crazy. I also read that Argentina, I think, is number 10 right now, according to Chain Analysis, in terms of worldwide blockchain adoption, which is quite interesting. So is this sort of something that even students in high school are starting to talk about, your friends and family are talking about? Is cryptocurrency really something that is just, really being talked about as an alternative right now?
Yes, well, the Argentinian ecosystem is very, very huge. We have lots of very interesting projects. For example, RSK is a blockchain from Argentina that is secured by Bitcoin and let smart contracts inside the network. So it's a mix between Ethereum and Bitcoin. Decentraland is an Argentinian project. Sandbox also have lots of Argentinian in their team. The ecosystem Proof of Humanity is another big project from Argentina. The ecosystem is quite huge. A lot of people is building here in Argentina. Some universities are starting to give classes to teach stablecoins, DeFi, cryptocurrencies. So the adoption here in Argentina is quite huge. I think that part because of all the restrictions that we have, and part because Argentina is also have very good professionals. I mean, we are builders. We build community. We build applications. We build companies, even in this bad situation that we have. But yes, the ecosystem is quite huge. Even the next month, on the 11th of August, the Ethereum Latam will be here in Argentina, and it will be a conference of about 50,000 people. And
Wow.
Stani will be here, people from Curve, Georgios, from Paradigm, some people of Flashbots, Synthetics. So we have like this conference. Vitalik was here like some months ago. Gavin Wood from Polkadot was here last week. So I think that all the people on the crypto ecosystem and industry have seen that we are a big deal inside the community, the ecosystem, and the industry.
50,000 people, that's incredible. Because I was at Consensus in Austin a few weeks ago, which is one of the biggest events that happens in the U.S. annually, and that was about 17,000 people. So 50,000 people in Buenos Aires is quite a big deal. It's quite interesting.
Sorry. It's a lot, 50,000. It was 5,000. Sorry about that.
Oh, 55,000. Okay. Yeah, that'd be crazy. 50,000 people.
Yes.
Okay, that's still quite big though, because Consensus is massive.
Yes, it's quite big for Argentina. I mean, the last 4 rounds of tickets, they were getting some minutes. So it's massive.
So the last thing I wanted to sort of touch on is Bitcoin adoption in Argentina, because San Salvador's president has been in the news a lot for his investments into blockchain and into Bitcoin. In my opinion, a lot of that was at times sort of publicity stunts. For example, Bitcoin might have dropped a little bit, and then he tweets that he bought more, which gets all over the news. But if you look into it, he bought maybe $15 million of Bitcoin, which is really quite insignificant compared to San Salvador's annual GDP. So, but in a sense, he's also bringing publicity to Bitcoin now. In May, he met with 44 different country representatives of developing nations facing issues that can be solved by Bitcoin. So that's a lot of countries in Africa, Eastern Europe, South America, etc. So, this is really something that is being considered by different countries as a solution. But at the same time, Bitcoin has now dropped to 20,000, which might be affecting people negatively who sort of trusted this or looked into Bitcoin. How is Argentina sort of seeing Bitcoin adoption, and what are your views on developing nations sort of adopting it in the future?
Well, I think that the case of El Salvador was very, very interesting, not only about buying Bitcoins as a reserve, but also how quick they develop, like all the commerce and shops developing Lightning Network to pay, for example, a coffee, or to pay in supermarkets. Like the development of Lightning Network in most of the shops, and the time that they spend like doing that only in some weeks, it was massive. I have some colleagues that went to Salvador, and they say that the implementation and development of Lightning Network in most of the country was massive and very, very, very good. In case of Argentina, I think that Bitcoin, it will not be a solution. I think that we have to change our minds, to change our government, our economy. The changes are like macro changes, not simply buy Bitcoin as a reserve or changing our currency. The inflation and the devaluation comes every year. So I think that, for example, in Argentina, the change needs to be in a higher level, not only by buying Bitcoin as a reserve or letting Bitcoin as a legal tender. I think that the change will need to be massive.
Basically, systemic change rather than just the adoption of Bitcoin is what's needed.
Yes, that's right. I mean, the adoption is already here. A lot of people buying stablecoins, a lot of people buying Bitcoin, a lot of people building into DeFi, crypto companies, a lot of industries, big industries coming into Argentina. And well, the problem needs to be a systemic, change into our government and our community.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for that. Well, Lukas, I think we're sort of coming up on time, but I just want to say thanks so much for joining us today. I hope this is really informative to people watching this, sort of learning more about the issues going on in countries faced by inflation and poor decisions by, monetary decision makers. It's sort of also an application of how cryptocurrencies are being adopted in these countries. Because a lot of the time, people in Canada or the US might not really directly be involved with them. And they sort of see it as a speculative investment by people, but there actually are real world use cases nowadays. So thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And it was a pleasure chatting.
Thank you a lot, Lachlan. And yes, I think that in these bear markets and in these countries like El Salvador, like in Argentina, there's a lot of potential. There are a lot of good professionals, a lot of builders, and we are a great community. So that's the main point. All the people are helping each other to growth, and we are always looking for alternatives as stablecoins to move forward. So we will always find a solution, and I hope that the cryptocurrencies will be a very big tool in our near future, most of them for these type of countries.
Yeah, and I'll be following along. It's super interesting to myself, and I'm sure to a lot of people out there seeing what's going on in the news in Argentina. So yeah, once again, thanks so much for joining us. It was a really big pleasure to chat. And thank you for everyone who joined us. We'll be back in the near future. Take care, Lucas.
Bye.